Well, it's pre-release season again, and this time we are going to be opening Destined Rivals. Destined Rivals is another set that focuses on owners' Pokémon just like Journeys Together did. This time, however, we'll be caring about the Pokémon of Ethan, Cynthia, and largely the Pokémon and trainers of Team Rocket. Pre-release will see you open a pre-constructed deck of 40 cards, which will feature one pre-release promo and then a collection of trainers and Pokémon in a predetermined strategy. You also get into your kit 4 booster packs of which to add to that strategy and try and build the most consistent deck you can. You then will play games, and at the end of the event you will then get extra packs as a thank you for playing the event. I reckon we can maybe have a quick chat and talk about the pre-release promos. Are they good, and will they win you any of the games? So, let's start with this one. Mimikyu is probably the most controversial pre-release rare that you can get. Its attack does nothing, especially in pre-release. Gemstone Mimicry literally has no damage, and it cannot do any damage in pre-release as there are no Terra Pokemon. Even on the official Pokemon website, they have virtually apologised for this card. However, it does have one saving grace, and that is it's got free retreat, meaning that it's a pivot Pokemon. You can set it up and then you can maybe combo it if the pre-release pack comes with it, or you get it from your collection of 4 packs. You can use Team Rocket's Giovanni, which will retreat your Pokemon and then force your opponent to swap their Pokemon. You can then pivot into your Mimikyu to then reset attacks if you have Pokemon that can only attack once and then have to wait a turn. And that's as good as it gets. Mimikyu is a pivot Pokemon. You want him for standard. You do not want him as your pre-release promo. You want him in 2 to 3 weeks' time when you're trying to play Mewtwo EX. Well, let's move on to something a little bit more exciting, shall we? And if you want excitement, you want thrills, and you want spills, you may want Misty's Gyarados. Misty's Gyarados has Splash and Panic, which is a stage 1 water energy to discard the top 7 cards of your deck, and it does 70 for each Misty's Pokemon in your deck. This means that potentially you can do 490 damage if all top 7 cards of your deck are Misty's Pokemon. And we can set this up, and we'll talk about that in a second. However, it's pre-release, and as I said in the intro, it's a 40 card deck. You'll draw 7 cards, that takes you to 33 cards. Then you put your 4 prize cards out, which is 29 cards. You then means you have to go first, attach a water energy, hope your opponent doesn't kill your 30 HP magic card, you evolve into Gyarados, you attack with Gyarados 4 times, and you just win the game without decking out. That's the dream. There is potential for this to work because a reprint in this set is also Sacred Ash, and potentially they also are very good at giving you trainers in the pre-release kit that work with the strategy, so potentially you get a Super Rod, which hopefully you don't mill. This card strongly reminds me of the future pre-release kit that we had in Temporal Forces, I want to say, where you had the Miraidon that was paired up with the Baby Ironthorns. Baby Ironthorns had an attack that discarded the top 5 cards, I want to say, and you would do damage based on the amount of future Pokemon that you discarded. If you didn't discard a future Pokemon, you would recycle it back into the deck. Gyarados does not do this. You will be splashing around, discarding your deck. Self-mill is an option, and it is not the one you want. Or you can potentially do it once, maybe twice, and hope to build up for Waterfall, which is 120 damage each turn. Or you're getting one-shot by someone who's got lucky and pulled a lightning Pokemon that wipes you out. So, who's next? We have a second Team Rocket Pokemon in Team Rocket's Tyranitar. Now, Tyranitar is kind of interesting in the fact that it's a big tanky fighting Pokemon with 180 HP, and he also does 180 damage if you've got the time and your opponent's willing to let you attach 4 energy to him to do Demolition Tackle, and it also discards an energy from your opponent's Pokemon, which is probably too late and too slow, so you're looking to one-shot and hope that your opponent hasn't set anything up. Now, there is some intriguing main things before we talk about the ability, which is the Tyranitar line does evolve into itself to speed it up. So this isn't necessarily turn 1 evolve, turn 2 evolve again. You're not taking up 2-3 turns to get there. However, you are doing that for the energy. Sandstream is interesting that during Pokemon checkup, this does 2 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Or sorry, to each of your opponent's basic Pokemon. Which then means you can potentially set up some damage spread, and it maybe goes really well if you're able to pull the Team Rocket's Ampharos, which is an anti-evolution card, which then could also pair really well, because some pre-release kits in the last few formats have come with Arvin, and Arvin in the last set came with Evo. Potentially this time it comes around with a TM Devo, and you can maybe reset your opponent back to basic Pokemon, and you can start spreading some stuff around. It's going to be very slow, but potentially you could also be helped out by the Team Rocket supporter and item lineup being really strong in this set, so you can potentially get hold of it through things like Team Rocket's Great Ball, or perhaps you've got Murkrow and you take a turn off to use its Swindle attack, I believe it's called, to search for a card to help you move on through your game plan. This deck is going to be slow. Hopefully you get a pairing where you can set something up, wall off maybe, and then you build up to him. I wouldn't say that Tyranitar is going to excite me, but we will see what happens. I've been known to be wrong at pre-release events and to occasionally misjudge cards if you've ever watched the Build and Battle series. So that takes us on to our final card and what I think could be your strongest option. And here is the final promo. Ethan's Typhlosion is a very exciting card in the fact that it has the Buddy Blast attack, which is 40 plus 60 for each Ethan's Adventure card that is in your discard pile. Now, most pre-release kits that we've had in the past that have had a support Pokemon attack like this, we had Crabominable in Surging Sparks, which did 250 damage for 5 energy attachments. However, it cost 1 less energy for each Kofu in your discard pile. I would imagine that this pre-release kit probably comes with 2 Ethan's Adventures so that you can pull this off, meaning you're doing 160 damage for just 1 energy, which is nuts, given that 3 energy is Steam Artillery, its big attack that gets you 160 damage as well. Is absolutely nuts. And I think we also have to quickly talk about the Cyndaquil line. So Cyndaquil does for 1 fire energy 30, but discards the energy, which we're not really bothered about. It's a basic that kind of attack, which is pretty good, always helpful. And then we also have Ilthan's Quilava, when I can speak today, and that has Adventure Bound, which goes and searches you out the Ethan, meaning you actually want to go through the evolution stages. But potentially, if your pre-release kit comes with an Ultra Ball and a rare candy, you can Ultra Ball away both of your Ethans to then just start smacking for 1 energy and just skip the entire Polava in that situation. Also, I think that Ethan has a lot of viable backup Pokemon. So we've got the Slugma, which does 20 for 1, which is perfectly fine. You also have the Cargo that has the free retreat if it doesn't have energy attached to it. It also has an attack for 3 energy, which is basically your Gyarados attack, which is Lava Burst 70 times damage. Discard up to 5 energy from this Pokemon and it does 70. So being able to do 210 for 3 energy while you have a 1 energy attachment 160 probably helps you out if your opponent pulls a Mewtwo EX, or they get hold of some big bulky Pokemon, or you just absolutely body a Yam Mega. Well, thank you for your time, and if this has been helpful to you, please let me know, or if you want to tell me about something I've missed, please use the comments below. Thank you.